Welcome to the Power Zone Podcast, the day after the Home Run Derby, July 11, 2017, and all rise, the Honorable Aaron Judge presiding. Aaron Judge had a Home Run Derby for the ages yesterday. Not only did he win the Home Run Derby, he hit 47 home runs yesterday, and including 4 that went over 500 feet, absolutely smashing baseball. There were balls traveling off of windows in Marlins Park. I want to know how deep those glass panes are. It's like multiple baseballs were hit off of the windows in deep left field, and the home run sculptures probably got a few more dents in it than it had yesterday. And it was overall, even though I don't like the time-based change of the Home Run Derby, 3 minutes, hit as many home runs as possible, I still think it should be out-based home runs. But it's the Home Run Derby. It's not a home run or nothing swing anymore like the derbies of old, but it's Home Run Derby. It's still the best event, feat of strength in professional sports. And Josh Hamilton, a lot of talk about Josh Hamilton's 2008 Home Run Derby, where he hit 28 home runs in the first round of the 2008 Home Run Derby at the original Yankee Stadium. The greatest Home Run Derby performance. Even though he didn't have enough strength to ultimately win the Derby, he had the best performance in Home Run Derby history that you can have without actually taking home the trophy. If you want to win a trivia question, who won the 2008 Home Run Derby? I'll give you that answer in a minute here. But anyway, Aaron Judge, 4 balls traveling over 500 feet, absolutely crushing baseballs out. And the Yankees have a good star there for a long time. He bats third and he plays right field, just like some guy named Babe Ruth did all them years ago. Coming up next year he will be 100 years since Babe Ruth made his debut in baseball, which wow. Babe Ruth revolutionized baseball, turned baseball from a game that was based on speed and timely hitting to the home run. And add to that too the fact that the baseball was modified slightly as well, and the home run was born because of Babe Ruth. Baseball offense was changed forever because of Babe Ruth, and the game of baseball was changed forever because of Babe Ruth. I don't know if anybody will ever change their sport as revolutionary as Babe Ruth did his game of baseball. And Babe Ruth, one of the great figures in the game. Babe Ruth, if you ever took time to study the life of Babe Ruth was, his biggest regret was that Babe Ruth never got a managing gig in the major leagues. But as somebody once told Babe Ruth, you can't even manage yourself, how can you manage a major league ball club? He took a gig with the Brooklyn Dodgers as a first base coach, but in the hope that would get him a managerial gig, but the managerial gig didn't pan out, and ultimately the Dodgers used Babe Ruth as a publicity stunt to get tickets and to get people out to the Brooklyn Dodger games of the 40s. But Babe Ruth was a great figure. I mean, it's too bad that people only think of him as a guy who people have negative perceptions of Babe Ruth nowadays, and some of that may be earned, but he revolutionized baseball, absolutely. And the home run became commonplace because of him, and baseball was changed forever because of him. And if I've said that, but 714 home runs. And who was the home run leader before Babe Ruth? Roger Connor, 120 home runs before Babe Ruth hit 714 home runs, which is incredible. in and of itself. But anyway, the home run derby is tonight, and I gave you the lineups and the pitchers yesterday, and we're just going to talk a little bit about, Joe Madden is managing for the National League. No Cubs are going to be in the starting lineup. Their closer, Wade Davis, will be in the All-Star game. He's the Cubs' only All-Star, which is a fall from grace from a team that had almost the whole infield in last year, and stunning fall from grace for the World Series champions. And on Sunday, stunning fall from grace really for John Lester, who surrendered 10 runs in the first inning, including a grand slam home run to Francisco Cervelli. A 10 spot in the first inning, and once you give up 10 runs, you're not going to come back from that. The game is over. And so the Cubs are underperforming. Can they make a change? Will they trade for somebody? Will the pitcher Justin Verlander take his talents to Wrigley? Do they really even need a pitcher? That's all questions that the Cubs and their front office currently are grappling with right now. And the Cubs, who were among the best in hitting with runners in scoring position last year, dead last this year. Which should, if that doesn't tell you how the mighty have fallen, I think that stat does. I mean, John Lester, the guy was great with Boston, and he was great with when the Cubs signed him. He was supposed to be our ace, but the pitchers have struggled. Lester struggled. Jake Arrieta has really struggled, and Kyle Hendricks is probably our best starter, and he's on the DL right now. The Cubs are in a mess, and hopefully they right the ship, because nobody, unless you live in Milwaukee, wants to see the Brewers win the division. So it's going to be an interesting second half of the season. The first team to 60 wins was the Houston Astros, and as bad as that Cubs game was, the Astros got their 60th win by pounding 19-1, pounding Toronto. So it could, bad as it was, it could have been worse. And thankfully, wins and that loss for the Cubs will only count for one, and they're still 4.5 back of Milwaukee. So the division still very winnable, depending on how they use the rest of the season, and still very winnable. But we'll see what happens. But it looks like for Houston, looks like they might have the division wrapped up. I don't really see anybody. I don't see Texas really fighting them off for the division. So congrats to the Houston Astros. I mean, I remember 2005, they were pronounced dead by their hometown newspaper in June, and they were able to go all the way to the World Series for the first time in 2005. Yes, they lost to the White Sox in a 4-game sweep, but hey, at least they got to go to the World Series for the first time ever. But Craig Biggio got a World Series appearance, a great player in his own right, great second baseman, 3,000 hits for Craig Biggio. Converted catcher to second base, and that move really helped out his career. And Biggio and Jeff Bagwell, the Killer Bees in Houston, they were great stars back in the day. But now it's about the new guys. Carlos Correa at the shortstop position. He's a small little shortstop, but he can hit that baseball a long way, and he's a great player in his own right. Correa. And on the mound, Dallas Keuchel is great in his own right. But the Houston Astros, first team to 60 wins, and congrats to them for having a great season, because they need to have a good season. It would be nice to her team, 19-1, pounding Toronto, for a team that hasn't won the World Series to finally break through and win one like the Cubs did last year. So now the longest title drought in baseball goes to the Cleveland Indians, who have not won since 1948. But the Cubs broke their drought, and in 20, the Royals broke their drought lately. They hadn't won since 85, and they broke through and they won. And then, so these long title droughts are being broken in Major League Baseball. So, and I think that's good. I think every fan base needs to have a chance to believe, hey, we could go all the way. And I liked during the home run derby, a little tribute that Karl Ravech did to Chris Berman. One of those home runs that he did, Ravech did a back, gone. And that was a cool little gesture that they did to Chris Berman, who is, I guess, semi-retired. He still will pop up every now and then to give his thoughts on the NFL. ESPN without Chris Berman, but Bob Lee is still hanging around on Outside the Line. So the ESPN originals are slowly but surely winding down now, but it's time for a new generation to take over, and Karl Ravech did good work by getting Chris Berman, getting his signature call on the air yesterday. So with that, enjoy the All-Star game. I'm going to sign off for now. Good night, everyone. And